how we as humans operate. So if you're nice to them, they want to be nice to you. And in many cases, they have the option of just saying, yeah, you're right. We're just going to write that off. We're going to go ahead and abate that. Or, let's settle for half. Lots of things can happen. My staff has caught me. I had one I remember well, a lady in New York, a collections officer exam, excuse me. And we talked for probably half an hour about grandkids before we ever got to business. So after talking about her grandkids and my grandkids and having them and raising them and so on and so forth, after a half hour of that, do you think she really wanted to be hostile with me and treat me poorly? No, we were friends. She wanted to be as make the situation as good as she could do, and she did. She didn't violate any laws or regulations. She didn't cheat for me or anything of the sort, but she has discretion. And when she has discretion, that means she can make it easy or she can make it hard. If you're screaming at her and calling her all kinds of names, do you think she's going to make it easy for you? She's going to get even. She's going to reciprocate. You made her life miserable? Hey, baby. Yeah, you may get it overturned at a higher level, but you're going to have to go there because I ain't going to give you diddly.
Which is, you're totally right. That is just human. It's just human decency.
Yep.
You're nice to me, I will help you and see what I can do. But if you're being a jerk, well, I'll be a jerk right back.
That's us. That's us humans. Well, you kick a dog, they're you kick them enough times, they're not going to come back and lick on you. They're going to run away. Mm-hmm. So it's nature.
Oh, I see. Now with you, you've had this business for several years.
30 years.
30 years. What's your retiring mark?
My staff asked me about that. When are you going to retire? What are you going to do? And I said to them, one of these days, you're going to come into my office and find me dead at my desk. That's my retirement. I mean, my wife has passed. So what am I going to do? Go sit at home? Travel to places I don't really want to go with who? That's kind of boring. So, I'm at the point in my life, I can pretty much do what I want. If I don't want to come until noon, I don't. The work doesn't go away, but I can get to it when I wish. If I want to go out and play poker at the World Series of Poker, I go play poker at the World Series. So I can do what I want. I have a nice living, a nice income. I drive a nice car, live in a nice house. Why do I want to cut back? And for what reason? I mean, maybe in 10 or 20 years, maybe I will. But at the moment, I have zero interest in retiring. I get people who want to buy the firm on a regular basis, my major competitors and so on. And I just tell them, give me a call in 10 years. We'll see then. I'm not interested in retiring. Why? Just because people do? Well, I don't have to. I don't work for anybody. And that's a key thing to me for entrepreneurs, for people that own their own business. If you're successful, you develop a certain amount of liberty and freedom that allows you to do a lot of things. So the business and my work allows me that freedom. So why do I want to give that up and reduce my options? If you said to me, Charles, there's something going on in Europe that's just going to be fascinating to you all next week. Would you like to go? And it was fascinating enough. I'd just go, yeah, sure. And I just tell my staff if they need me, call me on my phone. Mm-hmm. I tell them if I'm gone, if the building catches on fire, don't call me. Call the fire department. So, I can do these things. So why retire?
That is pretty valid. It's one of those things that people do, but if you don't have to do it, why do it?
If Ruth was alive, it might be different.
Mm-hmm.
I grant you that, because we could do things and travel, spend more time with the grandkids, but they're spoiled anyway. They tend to be brats. I take them for a couple hours and give them back.
Oh, I bet grandparents are a different type of people. All of a sudden, the rules kind of go out the door.
Oh yeah, no, feed them ice cream and sugar, and then hand them back. Absolutely. They get dirty or tired or bratty, you just hand them back and say, "Your turn. Sorry."
I'm done.
That's called getting even with your kids.
I can see that. Yep.
And then you teach them all the nasty things and tricky things that they can do to their parents, because your kids did them to you. Now you're going to teach them to your kids, your grandkids, to do to your kids. So it's called getting even.
Cycle around.
Circle of life, exactly.
Now, do you have another book or possibly another book on the way?
I've got several I'm thinking of. One is on taxation and what we really pay in tax, not technically, but you know, uh, when you get your hair braided, there's taxes. When you buy clothes that come from China or Nicaragua or Panama or Vietnam, you pay taxes. Footwear, you pay taxes. Gasoline, you pay taxes. Imported Venetian blinds, you pay taxes. You know, you can just look around where you're at. Your computer, you're paying taxes in that. Everything you touch has taxes. Wouldn't it be nice to know exactly what that is and what you're really paying in taxes? That's to me, that's interesting. The other thing would be is I would like to write a book for young men and how to be a gentleman. Exactly. I'm an old school gentleman. My father raised me. When a woman comes to the table, I stand up. There's probably my Rotary Club. There's probably two of us that still do that. I don't shake hands sitting down. I hold out chairs, open doors. I'm polite. Sir, ma'am. I'm very careful in what I do and how I treat people, and I try to be gracious and understanding, not hold grudges, and not be a real schmuck. So all these things, and there's so many broken homes and lack of male role models in a lot of families. There's no father there to teach them what they need to do to be a real gentleman, and how to treat women, starting with their sisters and mother, and moving on to their wife and their daughters, uh, and in business relationships and other men, and school and courts, and how to deal with the police effectively. Um, so all these things I'd like to put into a book written in an easy to read manner for young men to read and understand. If they want to be a gentleman, these are the things you do. I mean, if you want to just be a banger, well, fine, whatever. I can't help you. But if you want to be a gentleman, there's some things you can practice and learn and do. And I want to tell them, frankly, the girls will like you a lot better if you're a gentleman.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line, right? For young men, for old men.
Yep. You'll have a lot less time arguing if you're just a gentleman.
Yep. Absolutely. So that would be one I'd like to write.
Okay. Yeah, I will support that book 100%. Hand out copies everywhere. I think that'll be a good read, especially if you make it an easy read. It'll be a good read.
Yeah.
So your company is called Get Payroll. Now, is that with just small businesses, or do you kind of just expand out to all different needs?
Our target market is smaller businesses, but we handle a number of larger ones. Over the years, we've picked them up, and some of them have grown as we've dealt with them. Somewhere around 500 employees, most businesses take it in-house, and properly so, because the complexity and the number of people and all the exceptions just mount up as you have people. You have five people. The boss still runs it all. It just runs. It's the same payroll week after week. They hire people, they fire people. It just keeps going. But you get to 100 people. There's somebody that needs this. There's somebody that needs that. There's something unusual. Somebody has visa situations. Somebody has green card situations. Somebody has a spouse that's this, children that are that. They're doing this. They have to work there. Just a measurable number of things happen. So the payroll gets much more complex as the number of employees rise. So at some point they take it in-house, but we handle any size of payroll that wants to outsource. But our target market is the under 50 market, which is well over 95% of US businesses.
Ah, okay. Now, what is the most common, I guess, issue or situation that comes across, like small businesses, big businesses that you've found?
Two things, particularly in the payroll industry. One is classification. Are the people that are doing the work independent contractors, or are they employees? And if they're employees, are they subject to overtime or not subject to overtime? That's classification. And the US Labor Department estimates that 70% of businesses misclassify people. Happens all the time. And it can be very, very expensive. If the state or the Labor Department comes in, finds you've misclassified people, and they will, the penalties and interest can be overwhelming. It's put companies out of business, literally, because it could be huge sums of money. That's one of them. The next thing is knowing what you need to do to handle payroll, who you need to register with, what numbers do you need, what forms you have to file, what deposits do you have to make, when you have to make your filings, when you have to make your deposits, all those things. It's a complex thing. There are 15,000 government authorities in the US that tax payroll. In Philadelphia, the Philadelphia School District taxes income. The city of Indianapolis, the city of Aurora, Colorado, the city of Kansas City, New York City, New York State, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, all these places have local as well as state and federal taxation. And if you're not on top of it, it's going to come back and bite you. I promise you. So those are the two biggest things. But in the book, we go through all that. We go through things like entity choice and the tax aspects of the choice of entity you want to do business in, how to pay, how to file, how to abate penalties, how to avoid penalties, a cheat. If check's not cashed, you have to send it to the state. You don't get to keep the money. So there's a lot of things that people don't know because they're not in the business. That's why the book. That's 95,000 words of 30 years of experience. So all the problems we've seen over and over and over and over and over.
Right. So you basically just made it into a book. So it really helps that moment of,
Right. And tips on what to avoid, what to think about, and horror stories. It's not like reading IRS regulations. Some of it, it's a little dry, and there's a couple of chapters I recommend as a cure for insomnia, but it's a fun book.
Now, what was your writing process for this book?
Well, once I determined that this was a viable thing for me, I wrote an outline, then I rewrote it, and I rewrote it, and I rewrote it. And then I started writing the various chapters, and then I rewrote the outline and rewrote the table of contents, and then really got into the chapters and just kept expanding and growing it, and realizing that if I was going to talk about this, I needed to talk about that. And then reviewed other books and other articles and other sources of payroll information, talked to my staff, made sure that all the problems that our clients ran into were covered. And so we got that done, and then we had to edit it. I am so grateful that Wiley picked it up and published it, because they provided copy editors to help me. And